Boys and girls, welcome back. This is Benjamin Bok Choi bringing you another F123 video. Today we are going to take a look at our second ranked online race of the year. Now we are still in the bronze division, looking to be promoted to the silver division or the gold division, depending on how we finish. And between the first ranked online race and this one, I got promoted to B license. So I did a bunch of solo races and stuff like that and got promoted to B. Now, I think the reason why our first race, the rules were set the way they were, was because we had a C license and there's no contact in C license racing. It's pretty much like a beginner-friendly lobby. I don't know. I think all the rules are set to like super lax, and there's no contact or anything like that. So I think that the license affects that, not the division. But like I said, we got promoted up to B license in the meantime between that race and this race. And one of the things it says is there's no contact on the first lap. So that's what I was assuming going into this race. So no contact on the first lap, and then after the first lap, contact would be turned back on and ghosting would be off. So I went into the actual race expecting that today. So we finished qualifying P4 as I wasn't quite comfortable with the default settings or the default setups. And then we jump into the race and we can actually go into the setup screen. Now we can't change it because it's Parc Ferme. But our wings are 14, 16, way too low. I think I should have gone with the balance setup. Probably would have been better for Brazil. And then I had to go and check the simulation settings just to check what the rules were. We go into the assists or the rules and flags first, and then we go into simulations. Off for first lap only, enabled. You see that. Collision settings. Collisions, player to player, off. And then the collisions off for first lap enabled. So I assumed that we were not going to have any collisions. I thought ghosting would be on. So we start the race, 5 lights, and off we go. And cars aren't ghosting. I noticed that. Cars aren't ghosting. And we're actually running into other cars. We're getting kind of sandwiched right now in between 2 cars. So nothing I could do there. And then we get squeezed out by this guy who got squeezed out by another guy. Obviously, ghosting is off. As you can see, cars are just crashing out, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I thought there was supposed to be no collisions on the first lap. So that definitely did not happen. So we dropped a bunch of places. We are down to P8 now, starting P4, because I thought that ghosting would be on. But now I'll know for next time. I don't know if this is a bug, or I don't know if the B license description was totally off. 2 more cars go off. We move up a couple positions now. We are P6 behind this guy, Akno 86. So I'm still a little confused at this point, and the setup is super low downforce, and I can feel it right away. It's not even close to even the Grand Prix setup that I use, or even the time trial setup that I use. So we got a lot of understeer. Car just does not want to turn into the corners. And later on, I will change the front wing a little bit. I will raise it 4 clicks to 18, 16. I wanted a little bit more turn in, but I didn't want to make the car super unstable with high front wing and low rear wing. So as you can see, it looks like the guy in front of me isn't used to the default setups either. So we're kind of stuck in this position now. The car feels pretty bad, and what I thought was going to be no ghosting or ghosting on the first lap turned out to not be the case. So I'm really I like this game. I like the handling model, but the rules in the rules in simulation settings are really confusing, because the license says one thing, but then you go into the race and it's not what's happening in the race. So I don't really know what to be expecting now when I go into the next race. So in the next race, I will assume it'll be the same exact thing as this race. But then again, I went into this race thinking it was going to be the same exact thing as last race, even though we changed the license from C to B. So now I'm really confused, and I'm not really sure what to expect. So like I said, I don't know if it's a bug, or I don't know if this is what Cody's intended it to be, and the license description is just wrong. But I really have no idea what's going on with ranked online races. And on top of that, I don't understand why we can't choose our own setups. I really don't understand why we are using default setups in ranked online races. Again, maybe it's just because I'm still in B license racing Maybe if I get moved up to A, like if I get promoted to the A license, maybe we'll be able to choose our own setups then. I really have no idea. I mean, in the first race, we couldn't even pick our setup. We could only use the one setup that they provided us. And at least in this race with the B license, we were able to select one of the 5 default setups. So maybe in A license, we'll actually be able to choose our own custom setups. I'm not quite sure, but it's really confusing. I wish they would have made that a little bit more clear before we went into the races now. And I'm not really sure why they're making us race with default setups. It's really different than the last few years ranked online races, where it was just pretty much like a regular open lobby, regular rules and stuff like that. Well, not regular rules. They're a little bit more strict than the open lobbies, but just you can choose your own setups. You can choose whatever tires you want to go on. There was none of this license tiers where the rules change depending on what license you're racing at. I do wish they were a little bit more clear, because what the license says is not what happens in the game. Like I said, B license, you're not supposed to have any contact on the first lap, and then there's contact after the first lap, but obviously you just saw that was not the case. So now we are up to P5. This guy's light is flashing. Enough of me bitching about the game. This guy's light is flashing, even though he seemed pretty quick. One more guy went off in front, so we picked up another position. I don't like this either, auto reset on track. The accident happened like 200 meters back, and then they get reset back onto the track like 200 meters in front of where they went off. I don't know how that's fair, but maybe they'll change that too when we get promoted more. But that was really, really confusing. I saw the car spun out 200 meters back, and then all of a sudden he pops back out in front of us. Yeah, this game's a bit of a mess right now. Like I said, I love the game. I like the handling. Everything about offline is amazing. Just the online multiplayer is a little bit weird with the auto reset, the license tiers, and the different rule sets for the license tiers. It's really confusing. But we still managed to get up to P4. I didn't want to push this guy in front of us right now. His light's blinking already. We were able to keep up with him. Like, we weren't like much quicker than him or anything like that, but we were able to keep up with him. I could see that he was making quite a few mistakes. As you can see, our battery is still at 65%, and he's already blinking, so I'm not going to push too hard. The 2 guys out in front are already like 6 seconds ahead. They seem like they had pretty decent pace, so I thought just sitting behind this guy one more lap really wasn't going to hurt my race or really help my race in either case. So I'm just going to sit behind this guy. No reason to push. We're just racing for points right now. I just want to get promoted out of bronze division, so I don't really care if I win the race or not. I just want to get out of the lower tier of racing to get to a little bit more higher standard of racing. As you can see on lap 1, there was a bunch of cars going off. Now, I don't know if that was just because they were unclear about the rules of this race as well, just like I was, and they just kind of assumed that there would be no contact on lap 1, whereas I was a little bit more cautious because I didn't trust the game. So I didn't push quite as hard on lap 1, whereas they all did, and a bunch of guys crashed each other out. But you can see we have a bunch of overspeed due to our choosing the low downforce setup. He tries to make a move down the inside, but it's a bit late, so he backs out of it. Luckily, there was no contact made there, but we make it up to P3 now. And for the next few laps, I'm just going to check the delta to P1 and P2. They are battling at this point, and they're still 6 seconds ahead, so I assume they're pretty quick. I'm not going to be able to catch up to them unless, of course, they battle super hard and slow each other down by 6 seconds. But if they're going to just DRS off of each other and leapfrog each other every DRS zone, then there's probably no chance of me really catching up, especially since you can see we're on lap 6 and I'm still making mistakes just because I am not comfortable with default setups. I hope to God that once we get up to A license that we'll be able to pick our setups for the actual races. I hope that is the case. We'll have to do some more research, but it's still so early on in the launch that there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions online just because nobody's really sure what to expect. So P3 now at the end of lap 6, and this is pretty much where we are going to sit for the next little chunk of race, so there's no point in really watching any of it. So we're just going to skip ahead now to the start of lap 17, and here is something odd. As you can see from the minimap, one of the guys kind of falls off. We pass him right here. And I was like, oh, something happened. And he's already ahead of us on track. He already got replaced back on track ahead of us. So I don't really like this auto reset thing. it's like there's no punishment for going off or anything like that. I figured this guy seemed to be the fastest guy on track. I don't know if he went off on his own or if the other guy kind of dive bombed him. It looked like the other guy overtook him at the last DRS zone, and then they were kind of battling, and then this guy went off. So I figured I'll just let him finish ahead. He's quicker than me anyway. I don't really know if the other guy dive bombed him or not, but I'm not going to pass him. I'm happy with P3. The P4 is like 10 seconds back anyway, and this guy up here, his light's blinking. So yeah, I'm not really these ranked online races have left me more confused than ever. I don't really know what to expect in the next race, and I was assuming that they were going to go down the list. The list said Canada, Japan, Brazil, so I spent a whole bunch of time practicing at Japan, go into ranked online races, and I get dumped into a Brazil race where I hadn't done any practice at all aside from creating my setup on launch day, and that's about it. So yeah, this threw me for a loop really at a track that I wasn't really prepared for, and then on top of that, all the other stuff that I mentioned that I wasn't really expecting. So yeah, I think I like the idea of what they're doing with ranked online races, with the divisions and stuff like that, and the licenses to make people come back and try to improve their either their driver's license or their standings in the divisions. But these different rule sets for different licenses, and the fact that they're not following what the licenses say, is really, really confusing. So yeah, that's it. That's enough for me. Enough bitching and complaining. I hope that the next race goes a little bit smoother. I assume it will be at Japan, but God only knows what track it's going to be at. So we started P4. We lost a bunch of positions on lap 1 because I was not really sure why we were making contact with everybody, but we managed to move back up to P3, finish on the podium, and we added another 66 points to our license. Yeah, you can see me in the camera right now. I'm just kind of saying exactly what I said in this video. What the hell is going on? Why do the rule sets not follow what the license says? So yeah, that's it, guys, for race number 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you think I've earned it, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Remember to eat your bok choy, and I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully we can make these ranked online races a regular thing.